And first of all, I'm going to fall asleep in a few minutes. But actually, so before actually sleeping, and I'm thinking of creating an episode, and which is why. So I'm using this application. And hello everybody. I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. And so recently I haven't spoken English for these, not for these months, but actually I spoke English. I spoke English last month. Last month I spoke English, and anyway, so I shouldn't tell you. Not I should not. Not I should, but I should not. I should not tell you the specific or the exact time of this recording, and because I'd like to avoid being identified, or I'd like to evade getting identified by any of you, and which is why. So I'd like to avoid such such troubles, and which is why. So it's still summer. It's still summer in 2024, and what is taking place is that maybe America and the United Kingdom are talking about having a military or having a conflict against Russia involving weapons, and meaning there can be a war. There may be a war which may start between Russia and other Western countries. So it's in this time, a war is taking place between Ukraine and Russia, but actually, that war may be expanded and it may involve other Western European countries, including the United States of America, which means that war is in such a lethal condition. And by the way, so this is a digression. And anyway, so if you have, and maybe this time, so only Chinese characters are written in the title, so which is why, so I should read them. Wait a moment, please. So wait a moment, please. I'm going to, and how to read is 钓鱼岛是中国的，百度是日本的，苍井空是世界的。And first of all, why I began to create this is that there is a Chinese person who had been hired at NHK, which is a broadcast corporation. Wait a moment, please. I'd like to know the description of NHK in English. Wait a moment, please. This is fine, but actually I don't have to. I need to use that website. That website is Wikipedia. And wait a moment, please. And so, there is a translation in English. Japan Broadcasting Corporation. And in my language, which is Japanese, and that is Nippon Housou Kyoukai. And there is a Chinese guy who was hired by, who may still be hired. Who may still be hired by the Japan Broadcasting Corporation, and we call NHK. And that Chinese, what that Chinese person said was really a huge problem, which means, and he or she said, he said, and so there's an island on which China and Japan have a conflict, and the inward of conflict, or the content of conflict is that which owns that island, which is the problem, and and to start with, other islands are involved in that problem, and we call those islands Senkaku Islands, and maybe China wants, maybe the continental China or the mainland China wants Diaoyu Dao, and the meaning is an island of fishing island of fishing fish, or an island of taking fish. The literal meaning of that island is what I have just told you. Anyway, so but actually, but that Chinese person was maybe that Chinese person is or was hired by Japan Broadcasting Corporation, and which is why he or she shouldn't have said such a thing like so those islands or that island is a territory or are territories of China. Such a thing is what that Chinese person hired by such Japanese Broadcasting Corporation said. And that caused, and what she said, what the Chinese person said caused really a huge problem in my country, and which is one of the reasons why I created this episode. And so, but actually, so that is related to the first part of the title, and the second part means I bought some shares of Baidu, which is Chinese equivalent to Google. And so if you live in the United States, or if you live in some European countries, and you may use, I think you use Google for as a search engine, and in the case of Chinese people, they use Baidu for searching things, or as a search engine, or as the search engine, and in the case of European people, maybe so not European people, but actually, so in the case of American people, so Google can be the search engine, and in the case of Chinese people, they use Baidu as the search engine. And anyway, so and the last part is so苍井空是世界的 means Sora Aoi is of this world. Was Miss Sora Aoi is owned by this world, and meaning is that, and who Miss Sora Aoi is, and she's an porn star, and in Chinese language, maybe Xingang Niu Xing can be a better translation, and she is New Yang Yuan in Chinese language, and anyway, but actually, so porn star, she's a female porn star, or porn actress in English. And once when I was young, I communicated with a Chinese user of X, and the previously Twitter, and who said苍井空or Sora Aoi is owned by this world, or of this world, and he or she said such a thing. And anyway, so but actually, so but actually, whoever says he or she owns Mitsura Aoi, and Mitsura Aoi owns her own life, and but which is why if somebody says so she is of this world, or she is for this world, or whatever they say, so that's what her life is, what Miss Sora Aoi decides. And anyway, she retired, by the way, she retired, which means she was a porn star, and she retired, and she has some children now, and I hope she's spending a happy life with her family members. And anyway, so going back to the conclusion, and the conclusion is, I became a shareholder of Baidu, and when I bought shares of Baidu, not when I bought shares of Baidu, but actually maybe so better said some days after buying shares of Baidu, I bought shares of a huge Chinese I bought shares of another huge Chinese company. I'm sorry. And as you have, I think you have already noticed that I'm a non-native speaker of English language, and which is why sort of bad at I'm sort of bad at speaking English. I have problem in speaking English because I'm a non-native speaker of English language, and another reason is that I'm not so good at speaking itself. And anyway, but actually, and I bought shares. And if you'd like to identify, if you are Chinese, if you are, for example, if you work for Chinese government, and if you'd like to identify who I am, so there's I bought shares of a huge Chinese pharmaceutical enterprise. I bought some shares of huge Chinese pharmaceutical enterprise, or the company of medicines, which is the shares of which is what I bought before, and what I bought at around the time of my having bought shares of Baidu. Anyway, so I'm sorry for my complicated expression. Anyway, so that Japanese person was me, and so maybe I said this in other past episodes, but that so maybe my purchasing order had been frequently cancelled because of some reasons, and even before. So which means, so I in most cases when you order to buy shares of some companies, and orders are released to the stock market, and in my case, maybe the order had been cancelled even before the start, or even before the opening of the stock market, or maybe the Hong Kong market is what's that securities company frequently uses, and which is what actually the order was cancelled, which is what I found, and which is what I have found weird, and so it's really that I think that problem is really a difficult one, involving maybe some political problems, maybe. But anyway, but actually, so thanks to the contribution of many people who may be working for the security companies I frequently use, or the people working for the employees working for the Hong Kong stock market, and I could buy shares of Baidu, and of course so after I bought those shares, the stock price dropped, so which is why I have lost. But actually I still hold those shares of Baidu, and I hope the stock price is going to rise in the future. And that actually, this is all the stuff I'd like to tell you this time. And by the way, if you ask me which country is the owner, or which country is the owner of those islands, or the Diaoyu, or the island, and maybe Japan. But I don't care which country owns those islands or that island, and which is my personal opinion. And this is all the stuff I'd like to tell you this time. So wait a moment, please. The conclusion is, or the the conclusion, maybe I should tell you the conclusion. The conclusion is I bought shares of, I became a shareholder of Baidu, and the title is 钓鱼岛是中国的百度是日本的苍井空是世界的 and this is all the stuff I'd like to tell you. So that's it. And I have just told you the same stuff. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. See you. 再见。